This video will show you how to hem a garment using a slip stitch with a clean finish. A slip stitch is used to finish garment hems, attach waistbands, attach facings, hold pockets, and trim in place. The slip stitch allows for an almost invisible finish. The tools needed for this process are the garment to be hemmed, an iron and ironing board, pins, measuring tape or a seam allowance ruler, a needle. A sharps or in-between needle would work best to keep the stitches invisible, and thread. The process of doing the hem is the clean finish portion of the hem includes folding the hem up an additional amount as instructed by the pattern, pinning this in place and pressing it. Some garments will require a wide hem while others will require a narrow hem. Wide hems allow for better garment weighting, future alterations, and better quality. Wide hems are usually seen in higher price points. Narrow hems are necessary with flared garment silhouettes, such as flared pants, bell sleeves, or gored circular skirts. Once you've pinned and pressed this in place, machine stitch the fold in place using 2.5 inch stitch length on your machine. This will create a small tunnel which you will use when you hand stitch. In order to hand stitch it, you will have to thread your needle. For these garments, you will want to use a single strand of thread to keep the stitching invisible. If you needed more strength, you could use a double strand. To put a knot in the end of your thread, you'll take the edge or the end of the thread and put it parallel to the needle. Then wrap the length of the thread around the head of the needle a few times and pull it down to the end of the thread. This will create a knot. A good idea to keep in mind is loving your thread. By rubbing your fingers down the length of the thread, it helps release some of the tension in the thread and will make it easier for you to stitch. To begin hand stitching your hem, start at the side seam. Bury the knot of your thread behind the hem or behind the side seam. Then you will come out of the tunnel along the top edge. Pick up a few threads from the visible garment side of the fabric. Then come back down into the tunnel close to where you had exited it. Do not leave the thread outside of the tunnel. Do not go farther than 1/4 to 1/2 inch between each stitch. Leaving too much thread out of the tunnel or going too far between stitches makes it easier for the garment hem to be ripped out by small objects or fingers. This is how your finished slip stitch hem should look, with small stitches that are barely visible on the outside of the garment. Keep practicing how to work on the hem. Don't get frustrated, it does take time to learn. It's easy to take out if you do something wrong. Just keep practicing. If you have questions, be sure to ask the instructor.